Right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jay's Fight Talk. It's the morning after the night before in Riyadh. Oleksandr Usyk goes 2-0 over the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, winning 116, 112 across all three judges. We do ask for consistent judging quite a lot, Jay, whenever we're doing the shows, and we did get consistent judging last night, bar the AI judge, actually.
Yeah, the AI judge was a little bit.
I think we can scrap the AI judge.
I think its chip might have been manufactured somewhere near the
Ukraine. Yeah, we can scrap the AI judge for a minute, but 8 rounds to 4, unanimous for Oleksandr Usyk, which, look, we'll get into we've both rewatched the fight since it happened, which is good, so we can kind of break it down a little bit more, because sometimes when we do the watch-alongs, we talk and we probably, distract each other, so on and so forth, which is part of why we enjoy doing it as well. But sometimes it's good to just watch it afterwards and get your official thoughts on it. So, look, at the time, I probably would have said Usyk edged it. I didn't score it like you and Liam did at the time, but I have gone and watched it back. I gave it 7 rounds to 5 to Oleksandr Usyk, 115, 113. I think I had the first fight fairly similar as well, but it's testament to Fury as well, and testament to the first fight, because it was equally as close, in my opinion, but 2 completely separate fights. And Dan Raphael, I need to pull it up. He put a tweet out, and this is exactly how I feel about what happened with the fight, and I'm sure that you and many others agree. He said Fury fought a terrific, disciplined, excellent fight and still couldn't win. That tells you how great Usyk is. I think that's a perfect way to summarize what happened last night. Fury did everything that he could possibly do to try and negate Usyk for me last night, but the way I thought about it and the way I can put it into words is Fury was just trying to stop what Usyk was good at, but he didn't focus on Fury, whereas Usyk, he just focuses on Usyk. He knows how good he is. He backs himself every single time, and he doesn't worry about what Fury's going to do, because in his head, Usyk being Usyk's good enough to get the win. Still think Fury's got that little thing in his head where he's like, right, what's Usyk going to do now? And I think that's just that, like I said last night, I think it's that extra 5% difference between them, because they're so well matched, aren't they? It's really, really close.
I think because of what happened in the first round, so Fury getting hurt, badly hurt, he couldn't allow himself to find his flow state and not worry about what were coming back. And Tyson Fury's always best when he's in a rhythm and he's got a flow state and he's just letting his hands go, and it's all fluid movement. Last night was very little fluid movement. It was all rigid and it was a little bit tense and worried about what was coming back. Usyk just did what Usyk does, just presses forward, looks for the jab, wants to jab to the chest and then hit you with counters or combinations off the back of a jab. Fury was concentrating on his defense, so he didn't want to get hurt, so he was backing off a lot and then throwing punches in clusters. Tyson Fury normally finds a rhythm and then just keeps going with his consistent flows and flows and flows. He didn't do that last night, so I'm gonna, as I always do, I'll contradict myself. I thought he boxed fantastic. I think that
he did actually,
right? But I think Tyson Fury will be disappointed in the tactics. Maybe I think he could have pressed a little bit more at times in that fight. He could have pulled away a little bit and would have had, because I scored it a draw in the immediate. I had it a draw, and I thought that was a fair result. I watched it straight away as soon as we logged off. I watched it straight away and I gave it by 2 rounds to Oleksandr Usyk. I've watched it again this morning and I had a swing round where it could have gone. I gave it to Fury by a round or Usyk by a round. So look, ultimately Usyk's proved that he's the better man. I think he's proved that he's the better man, and Tyson Fury's got no disgrace in those losses. He's lost to probably the greatest cruiser / heavyweight of a generation. There's nobody in the last 10 years that would have beat Oleksandr Usyk, so there's no shame in it. This cry of robbery and is nonsense. It's nonsense.
I think Oleksandr Usyk's the best fighter of this generation.
Has to be.
I've gone on record and say that. Big up Luca. Thanks for hopping in, mate. I think Fury had to use his jab. What would have been different? I've watched it against 11-9-3-2. Yeah, look, to be honest with you, there's a few good quotes I'm going to bring up now, actually, from the panel ringside. Look, the people who scored it, I think Hearn had it a draw. 8-4 to Fury was Oscar De La Hoya and Frank Warren and Spencer Brown. The people who are going to
all work together on putting these fights together.
Yeah, the ones who are going to give it to Fury. So Spencer and Frank have said, I think the judges are Ukrainian. I think Liam sent in this morning. And And Oleksandr Usyk has responded by saying, Uncle Frank, I think blind. What a quote that is. I love that. I watched the press conference. He's Uncle Frank, I think blind. It wasn't it though, like Frank is walking around ringside with a copy of the judges' scorecards, showing any man and his dog who listened to him, pointing out the rounds. It's like, Frank, it was a close fight that Usyk probably won. Like, there's no robbery here, Frank. Come on.
No, listen, if that had gone the other way, so if Fury had got that 116, 112, I'd have been disappointed. I think it were too wide for Fury to win it. I think if Fury would have won that, it would have been by a round or two, not by 4. And I know that sounds stupid because it's only 2 more rounds, but 8-4 is a wide win. I thought that fight were closer than the first one, but the scores were wider, which I didn't understand. I had it a lot closer.
Yeah, the pattern of the fight was so much different, wasn't it, to the first one? Like, Fury let his hands go more in the first one. He stung Usyk a few times, but he also got badly hurt himself. You know, the rematches go one of two ways, don't they? They're either, you know, an absolute slugfest and it's more conclusive, or both men have seen each other now for a period of time and they know exactly what, you know, Fury was petrified of the Usyk left hand. We saw that all night. Not petrified, you know, I'm not saying he was scared. What I'm saying is he was wary of Usyk's.
It was there.
Right hand. Thanks for tuning in, Ryan. I think he's laughing at the Usyk, Uncle Frank, very blind. Great quote. Luke said some Aussie rim licker and Frank. Okay, that was where it was. And they asked Frank if the judges were Ukrainian. He said they may as well have been. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense to it. But
I think Tyson thought he won it by 3 rounds, which I didn't see.
Did you see the video of Tyson in the back and Ben Davison? Yeah. But, like, how can Tyson, and, like, again, I'm being critical here, how can you think he won it by 3 rounds?
He's in there, though, in the heat of the moment.
Yeah,
I know.
I know.
What I'm saying? In the heat of battle, it's different. He'll possibly
the AI judge
perspective on it. The AI judge, Jesus Christ, that was
the AI judge just scoring 10-10s for fun.
10-10s, man.
Yeah, look, again, for me, I'll echo this, that they are the best 2 heavyweights in the world. Tyson performed well, and he beats any other heavyweight in there last night that's not named Usyk for me.
Yeah.
That still doesn't change, I don't think. I think he beats Dubois. I know he'd never fight Parker because they're friends. I think he beats Parker. I think he beats Joshua. Before we, is there anything else we want to cover on the fight before we look at potentially what's next for both guys? You know, anything with the...
I think we've covered it. I mean, you know, we've covered the scores, who we thought won, how we got to that conclusion. I think I'm intrigued as to what's next for both now. I'd have been happy to see
at any point there would be potential for a trilogy.
I don't think so. It depends on what Tyson Fury says publicly, whether
Turkey wants it, he can probably make it, but if I'm Usyk as well, I'm like, what do you want to do? Just keep fighting Tyson forever till he beats me.
For me, do you know what? I would have happily seen them both retire last night.
I thought Usyk was going to retire, and then, of course, we haven't mentioned before we look at what's next for Usyk.
I don't want to talk. I'm embarrassed for him. I swear I'm embarrassed.
No, but that wasn't his idea. Like, who's put him up to that? Yeah, who's put him up to that? There's no way in hell that was Daniel Dubois' idea.
He'd been practicing that speech and he fumbled and fluffed it.
I know, man, but like,
he had one job.
Yeah,
one job.
Give the guy his moment, man.
That's like the worst thing for me is when he actually did it. He didn't even wait for Usyk to answer a question before he comes steaming in his granddad's suit. That lad needs handler. He needs a handler, that kid. He needs someone to pick his clothes for him and someone to shut him up at times, because it was embarrassing for me as a world champion that got beat, right? Screaming about, I want my revenge and I got robbed. And, you know, it was awful. It was cringy.
Don't overlook Joseph Parker.
Well, that's the problem for him. I said on the live last night, he'll lose to Parker now. It's inevitable that Parker will get the Usyk fight, a unification fight in the summer next year. Daniel Dubois just signed his own death warrant, and I'm being flippant with words. I don't mean it like that, but he is overlooking one of the most dangerous men in the top 5. Joseph Parker on his day gives any of them fits and farts because he is a fantastic boxer. Former world champion, by the way, not just a guy that's worked his way up.
And knows how to navigate his way through a fight and not get hit.
And he's boxing better than he's ever boxed, the same as Daniel is, but is all wrong for Daniel. He can box, he's big, he's powerful, he's strong, you know, and he's sparred with some of the best in the world. He spars with Tyson. He's part of that camp most of the time. So
he is.
Daniel
Andy
needs to be
Lee's
really
his trainer.
careful.
Yeah, exactly.
Needs to be really careful.
Yeah, I agree. He had the shot, which was on the, you know, it was debatable to be fair, but Usyk won comfortably in that fight. Yeah, and that's another point as well, that you know, it was borderline in my opinion. It was close, but Usyk would have got up. He wouldn't have, you know, it's not like he would have stayed down for 5 minutes if the ref was like, "Nah, that wasn't low." He would have got up and carried on fighting. So yeah, that's part of the debate that gets on my nerves.
I'll tell you what, though, this narrative about Usyk's, you know, weak to the body.
Yeah, I'm going to stop saying it now.
We've had that one incident in his own career. Tyson Fury hit him with everything bar the kitchen.
Well, but Turbiev dropped him in the amateurs. But how many years ago was that?
We're talking in the amateurs, 25 years ago, or whatever it was. Yeah. Tyson Fury hit him low, he hit him on the belt line, he hit him in his stomach 10, 15 times last night. Didn't even get a reaction. So we need to pull away from that narrative.
He's got an all-time great chin as well, Usyk, to go with that. His chin is ridiculous.
Mate, he's up there with the greats like Dave Allen for chin.
Oh no, we'll be here all day if we talk about dangerous.
No, we're being serious. Dave Allen's probably got one of the best chins in heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, we'll review the undercard on No Punches Pulled.
Do that tomorrow. Definitely.
Yeah, we've got and the award show for the year. It'll be a good show tomorrow night at 7:30. Last one of the year as well. Yeah, right then. What's next for? Let's just make the assumption, because he was talking about Dubois fight in the ring. He was talking about Jaya Pataya in the weight. Let's just make the assumption that Usyk's not going to retire. And to be honest with you, I think similar to Fury in this way, I think Usyk needs boxing a little bit as well. I think he's representing his country so proudly when there's so much going on. He's a light for everybody. Because that's I watched Did you watch the Netflix show? In the end, it's really good. They were kind of saying when Usyk was on the front line and stuff like that, people were kind of like, you know, what are you doing here? You know, you don't need to be here. And Usyk's like, no, I want to be here. But he's like, they're like, what you do, you get on the television. We want to watch you. That's how you represent and fight for Ukraine, that kind of thing. Which is obviously exactly what he's doing.
I don't want to see him go on too long, though, Sam.
I understand. But at the same time as well, financially, he's making an absolute killing.
No, but he's made generational wealth anyway. Yeah. He's made generational wealth 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. This guy's not fighting for money now. It's more.
I think he'll know. I think he's smart enough to know when it's not there.
And ultimately, look, he's just beat the second best heavyweight of a generation, right? Yeah. So
Vladimir was dominating till he was 40. Different era. Okay, fair enough.
He was in there last night. I thought, oh no, we're not going to have an all-Ukrainian matchup. I don't think they'd fight each other, would they?
I think they're friends, aren't they? And they're both Ukrainian, like you say.
I don't think we'll see Usyk until summer next year. I think we're going to. Obviously, Dubois got a fight. I mean, is this the only fight? They can't make like a young up and comer that, you know, someone like Moses Satoma can't get in there and fight him, can he? He hasn't done anything to deserve it. So other than Dubois, the other champion, I don't see a challenge for him. He don't want to fight Jaya Pataya for what? Yeah.
Well, that's another undisputed fight.
Dominating a division, and
you
know, he has to come down to reclaim his throne because the people questioning whether he would have beat Usyk. It's not got to that stage yet, so I don't.
No, there's not. No,
I believe that the promoters are trying to make us believe that the Opataya fight is a big fight. It's not for me. Opataya's got business to do at cruiser.
Yeah, Usyk's a heavyweight now.
He's a heavyweight now.
Not a cruiserweight.
So it's Dubois or retirement for me.
I'd rather watch the Dubois fight as well. Or, well, to be fair, if Parker wins, I guess he takes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It all stems from whatever happens.
Yeah. And what people need to remember as well is that it's an undisputed fight. Yeah. The winner of Parker and Dubois against Usyk is for the undisputed heavyweight championships. So yeah, look, I completely agree with you. It's Dubois, Parker, or retire for Usyk, really. Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. If he announced he's fighting Jaya Pataya at cruiserweight, I'd kind of like be perplexed, but I'd be like, look, okay, I'll watch it. Of course, I will. I'll watch any time Usyk's in the ring.
Yeah.
But Opetai's got to fight Zurdo Ramirez, possibly one more if he wants to become undisputed. If Opetai was undisputed at cruiserweight and was bouncing up to heavyweight, give me Opetai versus Usyk.
If he was replicating what Usyk had done at cruiser, then it would be, similar to the Marco Huck, Johnny Nelson kind scenario, the old guard not wanting the young upstart to break his record and put him in his place sort of thing. But I think Opetai is 2 or 3 years behind that.
Yeah,
anyway, he's not dominating.
It's not there at the minute. It's not
new.
Like it's...
He's new. Yeah. We weren't talking about Jai Opetai 2 or 3 years ago. He's new. I'm not saying he's new to boxing, but he's new on this world champion, established world championship scene. He's not done anything to warrant that fight. So I think Usyk, for me, will have 1 or 2 more fights and then sail off into the sunset to watch his son do judo.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, isn't it?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's it, Luca.
Absolutely beautiful.
2-time undisputed heavyweight champion. That's another string to add to his bow, isn't it? And that's possibly what
I'd rather him retire. I don't want to see him get beat by someone.
Me too. I'd rather him retire as well. He's going to go down as an all-time great. It'd be a shame to just see him at 38, 39, just take one, get ironed out. Or
I don't know, though. Lennox looked pretty fit in crowd last night.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
right, then.
I'd like to see him retire, but I don't think we will. I think we'll see him face the winner of Parker and Dubois in the summer next year, possibly.
Yeah. This is a good segue. Alex, thanks for tuning in, my friend, and joining us. We're going to move on to what's next for Tyson Fury now. Look, for me, it's so hard to say, isn't it? I think both of them will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Whether I think
Joshua will, because of what he's done for British boxing.
Yeah,
so he always gets the rub of that.
They'll both get inducted. I think they will.
And I think Tyson Fury will get it because of who he is outside of the ring, the persona, the brand. And he's done a lot.
There's a lot of stories with Hall of Famers as well. Fury's got a great story of what he came back from. Joshua, like Jay said, is kind of propelled British boxing into this, juggernaut that it's become in the last sort of 7, 8, 9 years. Yeah. Whether I think they're deserving or not is irrelevant, but do I think both of them will go into the Hall of Fame? Yes, I do. So, Jay, Tyson Fury, 2 defeats in a row, granted both to Usyk in close fights, so it's not like, he's been laid out or anything like that. It's not going to, everyone's not going to say he's done, he's finished or anything like that. He's in a bit of a strange position. What is next for Tyson Fury?
I think
he's going to keep on fighting, isn't he?
Yeah, they're going to make the fight I don't want to see. They're going to make the Joshua fight. I don't want to see it, me. I'll watch it. We'll do a live, and we'll be live all week in the build-up. It'll be a massive fight. I don't want to see it. I wanted to see that when they were champions.
Yeah.
I don't want them fighting just for the win. I don't think it holds any credence within the top 10. It doesn't have any bearing on world
business transaction, which is a shame to say, isn't it? At this point in careers, it's a business transaction.
And it was never that, was it, before?
The biggest fight in boxing, the whole of boxing, it was the biggest fight, and it would have been one of the biggest sporting events in British history if it would have happened when they were undefeated. And do you know what? Even if it happened when Fury was just undefeated, it was, and Joshua was back on his run, before he fought, or say if he beat Dubois at Wembley, and say if Fury beat Usyk last night, or just obviously it's irrelevant now because they both lost, but if it's a classic example, isn't it, of this marinating thing that we always get in boxing, man. Like the fight is 30% of what it was worth.
If you marinate something for too long, it spoils, man. And it's spoiled. They've left it marinated too long. It's gone too far the other way now. We will watch it, and they'll pack out a Wembley or
the immense numbers and all the rest of it. We know that. That's but
it's got no. For me, fights have to have implications on either the division or the belts, and that has an implication on neither. I mean, they could make it as a, one of the belt organizations would probably make it as a number one contender fight.
It would have implications on it, but look, these belts are going to fragment, aren't they, at some point in the next 12 months, I think. Yeah. And that's where the likes of Moses and people like that are going to start coming through, and Bacoli and, you know, in the heavyweight division is going to be really fun in sort of 18 months' time, in my opinion. Once Usyk rides off into the sunset, because everyone else is so well matched. And you know, AJ will probably still trying to be a three-time world champion. Fury might try and be a you know, those guys might stick around. Usyk's nearly 2 years older than Fury. Like Usyk's nearly 38, I think. Yeah, he's 37, Fury's 36, but I think Usyk's very close to being 38. And you have to remember that he's not a natural heavyweight as much as Joshua and Fury and the like. So, and Joshua's a little bit younger than Fury, I think, as well. So, like, look, those two have probably got a couple more years left. So if the belts do fragment, there is chances for AJ and Fury both to become a world champion again. Also, the likes of the guys coming through, you know, Bacoli, Moses, you know, obviously Dubois and Parker, is one of them is going to be IBF champion. So the heavyweight division is going to be fun after that. But we got to appreciate Usyk while he's here. Yeah, I think the only fight for Fury is the Joshua fight. Spera fought for Turkey, who didn't look too pleased when he was taking his pictures in the ring afterwards.
He was gutted.
Turkey must have knew, stood right next to Usyk before the judges' cards were read. So
he sort of edged his way across to the Ukrainian side of the ring, didn't he?
yeah.
Shifted his way across with his ring magazine belt.
Yeah. Is there any other fight that Fury could take if it's not Anthony Joshua?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's fights out there. I mean, you know, the likes of Bacoli and Dubois. You know, we're talking like Fury can't step in and fight Dubois because he can. And I think that Fury from last night beats Daniel Dubois. I think he stops him. I think he's too quick and too sharp for him. I think you got
to acknowledge that Fury and Usyk, like Fury can live with Usyk. Fury can cause Usyk issues. No one else really.
No one gets close to him. Tyson Fury is the only one that's given him a real fight.
Yeah.
Other than Chisora, and it wasn't the Usyk that he was now against. Chisora, they're not comparable.
Open in the Chisora fight.
I think Fury, as I say, Fury could fight any of them. I don't think he'll fight Joseph Parker if he won. That's his friend. I don't think they'd do that unless he wanted to give him a payday.
They ain't never fighting, I don't think.
I don't want to see Fury in just fights. It's got to be for something, and if it isn't for something, then just
got to be up for it, hasn't he?
Yeah. I don't think he'll get up for fighting somebody just for nothing, like the likes of a Bacoli. Or I think it's got to be for something, a belt or something like that. And I don't want to see him get beat by somebody that you wouldn't expect him to lose to. And I think if he's not motivated enough, that's when we'll see a bad performance from Tyson, and he'll get flat-aligned or ironed out by somebody that he should really be beating.
He looked in decent enough spirits in the press conference, to be fair. You know, probably said a few things again that he might regret, you know, gift decision and all this, but it's heat of the moment. Like you say, you can't hold that.
Never seen John. I haven't seen John.
No, he was nowhere near it. And that was, they've obviously, not
refreshing for me.
Yeah, they've obviously done that on purpose. You know, they left no stone unturned, man. They've done everything.
All business.
Everything that they needed to do to try and win that fight, even during the 12 rounds, in training camp, in fight week, everything they needed to do to win that fight,
they did it properly. But that's another thing. That's another reason why I'd like to see him retire. If you can't beat him on your best preparation, then you know it's downhill from here on in. Everybody else is a downgrade on tonight.
You can't say anything now. You know, it's I had the cut, I didn't spar, I was 50% of myself.
No excuses now.
Yeah, look, your best wasn't good, and that was such a great quote by Dan Raphael. It really summarized things well. Fury was brilliant last night, and Usyk still beat him. That's the cold hard facts of it, and he's going to go home and realize that he's the second best heavyweight of this era, and that's not a slight on him because he's a fantastic boxer. He really is. But unfortunately, he's the same age as Oleksandr Usyk, and that just summarizes it really. But yeah, I think that'll do, mate, for the immediate review show. Thanks to Alex, Luca, Ryan Hong for joining us. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. for we'll review the undercard. Of course, more Usyk Fury talk. Liam will give Liam his thoughts on that. And also the award show for the year. The three of us are going to pick our winners, and then we'll come together to pick one. You know, fighter of the year, fight of the year, trainer of the year, promoter of the year. You know, so on and so forth. It's going to be about 11 or 12 that we'll run through. Encourage everyone in the chat to give their thoughts on it as well. So yeah, stacked one coming up tomorrow night. That'll be the last one probably of the year, unless we do a watch along on New Year's Eve morning for Puma Martinez if the UK broadcasters pick it up. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Usyk's still the best, Jay. Still unified champion, still undefeated. And we shall see everyone tomorrow. Have a good Sunday, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.